Hey everyone and welcome back. This is Franken's TCG, and this is a deck tech for the lovely Nelly Borka Impulsive Accuser. I say lovely, but quite frankly, don't be a nervous Nelly. So, if you haven't actually heard about the Blame Game deck, one of the latest precons from Carl of Mana, this is the Boros deck. The front-facing commander has Vigilance and is 2/4. When Nelly Borka Impulsive Accuser attacks, suspect target creature, then goad all suspected creatures. Which in itself seems pretty strong. But then whenever one or more creatures an opponent controls deal combat damage to one or more of your opponents, you and the controller of that creature each draw a card. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. I have a thing here. I like the design of the card. I don't like what the card does, if that makes sense. Because without any evidence, Nelly just accuses everyone. Yuckos! Anyway, that's my hang up. I usually go with a 10 in, 10 out strategy when it comes to a precon. I'll play a precon once, twice, 3 times, try and get a feel for what it does, and then try and get a feel for some of its weak points. And then I try and base my preferences around that, and I try and go for a like for like. This is slightly different, because you're not really going to get a like for like when it comes to this particular deck. What you are going to be looking at, though, is extra interaction and removal, because it doesn't have enough removal. There's some cards that it can use or that it should use that I currently do not have in the deck. That would be things like Teferi's Protection. There's another version of Teferi's Protection that's kind of in here, which is fine. But it really does need a Teferi's Protection. I think it's in here. I think I remember seeing it. Doesn't matter. I don't remember what it is, which means it's probably ineffective. One of the big things about this is that the deck is definitely built with the central theme in mind, but the land base is horrible. Now, this is no fault of Wizards, and I see what they were going for. But when you go with your staples for commander land bases in precons, it's generally fine, and not in this one, because this one very much results in a factor of trying to have your commander out so that your deck actually runs. Now, the deck runs fine without the commander, don't get me wrong. There's heaps of goad in here. There obviously can be more replacements that I don't have yet, like Taunt the Ramparts. But I just feel like some of the design of this deck was maybe not thought about in the best way when it comes to the land base. You'll see that in a minute, because I've torn some of the lands out and I've put some stuff in. So what we've taken out is Darien, King of Keldor, just because we're not a go wide, so creating 1/1s from us getting damaged, not really healthy. I did take out the Duelist Heritage. This has a strong place in my heart. This is the one that whenever one or more creatures attack, you may have target attacking creature gain double strike until the end of turn. Now, you can give your opponent's creatures double strike. It's not just your creatures. And again, this is all about goading. So this can be very good. But I don't know if it's strong enough to really stay in this deck. So this is my borderline number 11, because this is actually 11 cards in and 11 cards out. So this one could have stayed in the deck. Elspeth, again, we're not a go wide. The 4 power greater removal doesn't matter, because you can just chuck in an actual proper removal spell that we'll get to in a minute. I feel like Planeswalkers in Commander are fine. You'll never hear me complain about it. But some Planeswalkers, especially like 2 white and 4 colors, not my jam. Alright, here we get to some lands. Kirkheap. I don't know why this deck is making kobolds. I don't. I'm sure there's some synergy in here that I've completely forgotten about or missed. But again, we're not go wide. We're not giving them +1/+1. We're not like beefing them up somehow. We're not sacrificing them to something. So out it comes. Dumbest of all dumb lands. The dumb land that you never want to see in your opening hand. Good old Temple of the False God. Wall of Omens. I mean, it's a 0/4 defender. It's a good defender. It draws a card. But this deck draws enough cards. Still Hellkite. People are going to have issue with this, but I don't like it. It doesn't have haste. It is easy to deal with. It doesn't do enough. Yes, it's got a semi-board wipe on it, but it's a very specific X cost to board wipe. Can get bigger, so it can deal a lot of damage, but it generally isn't going to actually end your games. Not in this deck. Colorless Ramp. Mindstone had to go. Yes, it draws us a card. I get that. Colorless. We don't need more colorless sources. There's already too many colorless lands in this deck. The Seal of Cleansing. Old piece of destruction that, quite frankly, just play Generous Gift. Actually deal with the permanent rather than just destroying it. Sun Titan can close out games. Again, very expensive for what it does. Having this in my hand, the games that I've played, I've never played it. I've gone to play it without value just for the vigilance factor, but at the end of the day, I just felt like we didn't need Sun Titan. Tome of Legends is an interesting one because, yeah, you're going to be attacking with your commander a lot, but you're also going to be drawing off other people a lot. You don't need to draw more cards. This does not need to be in the deck at all. I don't even know why it's in here. Replacements. Alright, so here's an interesting thing. Sunforger works with all of your disgusting stuff in the deck. It really does. It's good for getting you removal. That's 4 or less. It's good for getting you your Godor creatures. It's good for getting a number of, different things. Deflecting Palm. Yeah, they're going to see it's in your hand. They're going to think twice about attacking you. Again, this fits more of the theme of the deck, from preventing your opponents from attacking you until they think that they've got you. And hopefully you have something else in your hand by that time. Anyway. I was talking about Generous Gift before. So it still destroys, and it does give your opponent a 3/3 elephant, but it's target permanent, so somebody has a problematic land, you can get rid of it. Problematic whatever, you can get rid of it. Very good removal. Speaking of good removal, Swords and Path were actually not in this Boros deck. Wizards, what are you doing? You don't have Swords and Path in this deck. So we put them in. Leave that to last. Blasphemous Act. There is Brash Taunter in this deck, and I think something else that does the whole, if it gets damaged, it deals that damage to your opponent or all opponents. Surprisingly, Blasphemous Act isn't in here as another part of the Blame Game deck. It's like, well, you had all these creature tokens out, or you had all these creatures out. The blame is on you. I had to wipe the board, and now everyone's taking damage. Good job. Speaking of the Elspeth thing we're talking about, and probably a little bit controversial for some people, is Farewell. I understand that people hate this card as a board wipe. I get it, but it's still a board wipe, and it's still better than Elspeth. It is in. Next up, we want some extra combat phases. So I feel like Aurelia the War Leader is actually kind of good in this deck to give us an extra combat phase. Mostly just because our commander is rocking the boat when it comes to, I want to suspect your creatures and make sure that they attack and make everyone's stuff goad. So that's where we're at with that. Ironis got a victory. This was all about having menace and protecting our creatures during combat, so that we can just attack indiscriminately. And if you're going to block our creature, maybe you have to block with 2 creatures because of menace, and then we get to kill one of yours, but you don't get to deal any damage back. So I felt like Aronis was actually really good in this deck. Probably could land some extra more attack steps in this deck, to be honest, because of the way that the commander works. But we're not building just around the commander, so it was like a toss-up. Then we have a card that I am damn surprised is not in here. And I can't remember if this has been reprinted much. But Master Warcraft. So for you that might not be familiar, it's 2 colorless Boros. So 2 colors, a red or a white or a white red, white, red, you know what I mean. Instant. Cast Master Warcraft only before attackers are declared. You choose which creatures attack this turn. You choose how each creature blocks this turn. Now, you don't get to choose who they attack, but you get to choose which creatures attack. I don't know. It's something that I was fooling around with in my head that I thought was maybe better than it is, but we'll see. I just like the thought of forcing a whole board full of creatures to attack, especially if they're goaded and not attacking you, and then you get to choose how the defending player blocks. That's right, isn't it? You choose how each creature blocks this turn, yes. So you can just basically go, hey John, your 12 creatures are all going to attack this turn. They're all goaded. So I'm going to make them attack Geneva. Hey Geneva, none of your stuff can block. There is no convention here. Terrible, I know. So again, when we were talking about removing those two lands, we put in a spectator seating because it's commander, so why wouldn't you have like a cool jewel? And we added an extra lone mountain, Doctor Who mountain. I thought it was apt because of the TARDIS, but it was just basically one of those like putting in the extra land, taking out a colorless land for it. So it's not really extra, but you know what I mean. Like it's an extra red pip because there's just not enough solid colored mana sources in this deck, in my honest opinion. I could probably gut this deck down even more to try and figure out, you know, what else needs to come in and out. I guess Master Warcraft probably doesn't need to be in this deck, but I'm going to see how it goes because I feel like if I've got enough goated creatures on your opponent's side of the board and you make all their goated creatures attack, it's going to be amazing. This is going to make for a cool combo, but it might not. But that's the deck as it stands. That's what we've done. 11 out, 11 in, and we're going to be playing on stream. So hopefully it's good. And that has been our deck tech. Thank you very much for hanging out. I hope you like, comment, subscribe. You know what? Tell me about your version of this deck. What cool stuff have you put in? I'm really eager to find out who's done what. I mean, this even has one of my preview cards in it, which is awesome. So, you know, yeah, it's the Psychic Impetus. I think it was Psychic Impetus. Anyway, doesn't matter. Definitely let me know down below in the comments of what you were putting into this deck, because I want to hear your ideas on how you updated it for smashing people in the face. Alright? Alright. Thank you so much.